This is a continuation of the self-forgiveness list for fear, and I will post a link to this on the left of this video, okay? I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to fear children. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to fear girls. Actually, this is a list used by someone in another website, and he was able to go in and out the dimension after doing a lot of self-forgiveness. So I want to try this because I want to experiment with it. What change I can get out of this. Okay. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear boys. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear the dark. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear the food I ate. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear the world. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear the end of the world. I forgive myself that I have allowed myself to fear being in a car accident and the consequences of the money that is involved when I do. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear being in a car accident. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear being run over by a car. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear the pain of being run over by a car. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear prison. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear convicts and prisoners. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear lawyers. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear the police. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear what I drink. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear living. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear becoming or being lost. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear itself. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear survival. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear surviving. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear judgment. I forgive myself that I've allowed myself to fear ridicule. Okay, let's continue on in the next video.